Installation art describes an artistic genre of three-dimensional works that are often site-specific and designed to transform the perception of a space. Generally, the term is applied to interior spaces, whereas exterior interventions are often called land art. However, the boundaries between these terms overlap. History: installation art can be either temporary or permanent. Installation artworks have been constructed in exhibition spaces such as museums and galleries, as well as public and private spaces. The genre incorporates a broad range of everyday and natural materials, which are often chosen for their evocative qualities, as well as new media such as video, sound, performance, immersive virtual reality and the Internet. Many installations are site-specific in that they are designed to exist only in the space for which they were created, appealing to qualities evident in a three-dimensional immersive medium. Artistic collectives such as the Exhibition Lab at New York's American Museum of Natural History created environments to showcase the natural world in as realistic a medium as possible. Likewise, Walt Disney Imagineering employed a similar philosophy when designing the multiple immersive spaces for Disneyland in 1955. Since its acceptance as a separate discipline, a number of institutions focusing on installation art were created. These included the Mattress Factory, Pittsburgh, the Museum of Installation in London, and the Fairy Doors of Ann Arbor, Michigan, among others. Installation art came to prominence in the 1970s, but its roots can be identified in earlier artists such as Marcel Duchamp and his use of the Riyad-I-Made and Kurt Schwitter's Mietz art objects, rather than more traditional craft-based sculpture. The intention of the artist is paramount in much later installation art whose roots lie in the conceptual art of the 1960s. This again is a departure from traditional sculpture which places its focus on form. Early non-Western installation art includes events staged by the Gutai Group in Japan starting in 1954, which influenced American installation pioneers like Alan Capro. Wolf Vostell shows his installation 6 TV Dar Copyright College in 1963 at the Smolin Gallery in New York. Installation as nomenclature for a specific form of art came into use fairly recently. Its first use as documented by the Oxford English Dictionary was in 1969. It was coined in this context, in reference to a form of art that had arguably existed since prehistory but was not regarded as a discrete category until the mid-20th century. Alan Capro used the term Euro-OE environmentally Euro in 1958 to describe his transformed indoor spaces. This later joined such terms as a Euro-OE project art, a Euro and a Euro-OE temporary art, a Euro. Essentially, installation environmental art takes into account a broader sensory experience, rather than floating framed points of focus on a Euro or a neutral a Euro wall or displaying isolated objects on a pedestal. This may leave space and time as its only dimensional constants, implying dissolution of the line between art and life. Capro noted that a Euro-OE bypass a Euro art, a Euro unregistered trademark and take nature itself as a model or point of departure, we may be able to devise a different kind of art. Out of the sensory stuff of ordinary life via Euro. Gesamtkunstwerk, the conscious act of artistically addressing all the senses with regard to a total experience, made a resounding debut in 1849 when Richard Wagner conceived of a Gesamtkunstwerk, or an operatic work for the stage that drew inspiration from ancient Greek theatre in its inclusion of all the major art forms, painting, writing, music, etc. In devising operatic works to commandeer the audience see Euro unregistered trademark senses, Wagner left nothing unobserved. Architecture, ambience, and even the audience itself were considered and manipulated in order to achieve a state of total artistic immersion. In the book Themes and Contemporary Art, a Euro, it is suggested that a Euro-OE installations in the 1980s and 1990s were increasingly characterized by networks of operations involving the interaction among complex architectural settings, environmental sites and extensive use of everyday objects in ordinary contexts. With the advent of video in 1965, a concurrent strand of installation evolved through the use of new and ever-changing technologies, and what had been simple video installations expanded to include complex interactive, multimedia and virtual reality environments, a Euro. Themes, 199, Art and Objecthood. In A Euro Art and Objecthood, A Euro Michael Fry derisively labels art that acknowledges the viewer as a Euro theatrical a Euro. There is a strong parallel between installation and theatre, both play to a viewer who is expected to be at once immersed in the sensory narrative experience that surrounds him and maintain a degree of self-identity as a viewer. The traditional theatre-goer does not forget that he has come in from outside to sit and take in a created experience. A trademark of installation art has been the curious and eager viewer, still aware that he is in an exhibition setting and tentatively exploring the novel universe of the installation. The artist and critic Ilya Kabakov mentions this essential phenomenon in the introduction to his lectures A Euro on the A Euro Total A Euro installation, A Euro A. One is simultaneously both a Euro victim, a Euro unregistered trademark, and a viewer, who on the one hand surveys and evaluates the installation, and on the other, follows those associations, recollections which arise in him. He is overcome by the intense atmosphere of the total illusion a Euro. Here installation art bestows an unprecedented importance on the observer, a Euro unregistered trademark's inclusion in that which he observes. The expectations and social habits that the viewer takes with him into the space of the installation will remain with him as he enters, to be either applied or negated once he has taken in the new environment. What is common to nearly all installation art is a consideration of the experience in toto and the problems it may present, namely the constant conflict between disinterested criticism and sympathetic involvement. Television and video offer somewhat immersive experiences, but their unrelenting control over the rhythm of passing time and the arrangement of images precludes an intimately personal viewing experience. Ultimately, the only things a viewer can be assured of when experiencing the work are his own thoughts and preconceptions and the basic rules of space and time. All else may be molded by the artist a Euro unregistered trademark's hands. The central importance of the subjective point of view when experiencing installation art points toward a disregard for traditional Platonic image theory. In effect, the entire installation adopts the character of the simulacrum or flawed statue. It neglects any ideal form in favor of optimizing its direct appearance to the observer. Installation art operates fully within the realm of sensory perception, in a sense a Euro installing a Euro the viewer into an artificial system with an appeal to his subjective perception as its ultimate goal. Interactive installations. Interactive installation is a subcategory of installation art. An interactive installation frequently involves the audience acting on the work of art or the piece responding to users' activity. There are several kinds of interactive installations that artists produce. These include web-based installations, gallery-based installations, digital-based installations, electronic-based installations, mobile-based installations, etc. Interactive installations appeared mostly at end of the 1980s and became a genre during the 1990s, when artists became particularly interested in using the participation of the audiences to activate and reveal the meaning of the installation. Immersive virtual reality. With the improvement of technology over the years, artists are more able to explore outside of the boundaries that were never able to be explored by artists in the past. The media used are more experimental and bold. They are also usually cross-media and may involve sensors, which plays on the reaction to the audience's Euro unregistered trademark movement when looking at the installations. By using virtual reality as a medium, immersive virtual reality art is probably the most deeply interactive form of art. By allowing the spectator to visit the representation, the artist creates situations to live, versus spectacle to watch. At the turn of a new century, there is a trend of interactive installations using digital, video, film, sound and sculpture. Gallery. See also, appropriation, art intervention, classificatory disputes about art, conceptual art, environmental sculpture, found art, interactive art, modern art, neo-conceptual art, performance art, sound installation, street installations, video installation. Notes. Bibliography, Bishop, Claire. Installation Art: A Critical History. London, Tate, 2005. Coulter Smith, Graham. Deconstructing Installation Art. Online resource, Fried, Michael. Art and Objecthood. In Art and Objecthood, Essays and Reviews. Chicago, University of Chicago Press, 1998. A Euro-OE Installation, Environment Grove Art Encyclopedia 2006. Grove Art Online. January 30, 2006, 1. A Euro-OE Installation. A Euro-Oxford English Dictionary 2006. Oxford English Dictionary Online. January 30, 2006, 2. A Euro-OE Install, VA Euro-Oxford English Dictionary 2006. Oxford English Dictionary Online. January 30, 2006, 3. Timothy Murray, Derek de Kerkhove, Oliver Grau, Christine Stiles, Jean-Baptiste Barriere, Dominique Mollon, Jean-Pierre Balb, Maurice Benoit. Open Art, Nouvelles à Copyright Editions Scala, 2011, French version, ISBN 978-2-35988-046-5, Kabikov, Elia. On the A Euro-OE Totale Euro Installation. Ostfildern, Germany, Kantz, 1995, 243-260. Capro, Alon. A Euro-OE Notes on the Creation of a Total Art. A Euro and Essays on the Blurring of Art and Life, ed. Jeff Kelly. Berkeley, University of California Press, 2003. ISBN 0-520-24079-0, Mundloch, Kate. Screens, Viewing Media Installation Art. Minneapolis, University of Minnesota Press, 2010. ISBN 978-0-8166-6522-8, Joseph Nietzsche-Vattel, Immersive Ideals/Critical Distances. LAP Lambert Academic Publishing 2009. Oliver Grau Virtual Art, From Illusion to Immersion, MIT Press 2004, ISBN 0-262-57223-0, Opera. Britannica Student Encyclopedia 2006. Encyclopaedia Britannica Online. February 15, 2006, 4. Race, Julie H. From Margin to Center, The Spaces of Installation Art. Cambridge, Massachusetts, MIT Press, 2001. ISBN 0-262-68134-X, Rosenthal, Mark. Understanding Installation Art, From Dutch Hamp to Holter. Munich, Prestel Verlag, 2003. ISBN 3-7913-2984-7, Söderberg, Erika. Space, Site, Intervention, Situating Installation Art. Minneapolis, London, University of Minnesota Press, 2000. ISBN 0-8166-3159-X, Ferriani, Barbara. Ephemeral Monuments, History and Conservation of Installation Art. Los Angeles, Getty Publications, 2013. ISBN 978-1-60606-134-3, External links, Dossier, Site-Specific Installations in Germany, Installation Artists and Art. The-artists.org, Installation Artists at DMOZ, Museum of Installation, interview with directors Nico de Oliveira and Nicola Oxley. Sculpture/Art Design Cafe. Public art installation of Paul Cuneo Pauper, sculpture installations at DMOZ, installation art definition from the Tate Art Glossary, contemporary installation organizations and museums, Dyer Beacon Reggio Galleries, the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, the Mattress Factory Art Museum, Medicine Factory, Museum Z Traum Leipzig, Installation Art, Electronic Language International Festival Interactive Art Installations and New Media Art. Media Art Center, Karlsruhe, Germany. One of the biggest center with a permanent collection of interactive installations.